I think it sent a strong message to Washington, D.C. that if we can take out the guy that's second in charge of the Republican Party, the rest of you guys better start watching yourself too. As we all know, Dave's a professor up at Randolph-Macon College. One of the things I liked about the fact that he's a professor is he teaches economics and business ethics and ethics in general. And part of his economics class is teaching third world economics. So I think he has a much better grasp than Eric Cantor ever has or ever will have about how the economy works, especially in a free market economy like we're supposed to have here in the United States. So that appealed to me right away. I don't believe I'm telling any tales out of school here when I say that Dave Brat called me prior to announcing that he was going to run. And he wanted to talk to me about my experience as a candidate, what I had to deal with from the Cantor campaign, and what he would have to expect coming from them as well. So we had a really long conversation about that. I told him he was going to have thick skin because Cantor was going to lie about him every chance he got. That proved to be true, just as he lied about me, about everything he said. And I just asked him a lot of questions. What are your thoughts about this amendment or that amendment or this role of the government, and the government should be doing this or not doing that? And I was impressed with the fact that I felt like he had a firm grasp of the proper role of the federal government under our Constitution. And I was impressed with the fact that he believes in the concept of a citizen legislator. It's not supposed to be a 20, 30, 40-year career. It's supposed to be a temporary assignment. You serve in the people, you work for them, they don't work for you, and then you go back to the private sector and somebody else does the job. So these things appealed to me. And when I asked him a question, and I asked him some tough questions, just as I tried to ask Eric Cantor and never could get an answer, but when I asked Dave Brat a question, he would answer it. He was quick to answer it. He didn't equivocate. He didn't tiptoe around it. He gave me a straightforward answer, and I liked his answers. So that's why I decided I was going to support the guy. The reason I didn't come out and publicly endorse Dave, and I talked to him about this, because I think he would have liked to have had it, but I explained to him why I didn't think it was a good idea, and he ultimately agreed with me. Anybody who has paid any attention to my experiences with the Republican Party in this area knows that the Republican Party doesn't like me at all. And the reason they don't like me is A, I challenged Eric Cantor twice, and B, in doing so, I pointed out things about Eric Cantor that they didn't want me to talk about, such as his voting record, how he lies, the things that he has done that have grown the government, spent more money, how he has in fact behaved like a Democrat. And so I post these things in my blog and on my Facebook page, and the Republican Party still makes copies of that stuff to try to beat me up with. And they think I'm going to be recalcitrant and I'm going to apologize and tell them I'm sorry. And in fact, I tell them just the opposite. No, I said it and I meant it. And so I didn't want to put Dave in a position where if I'm on his staff, even as a volunteer, or if I come out and publicly endorse him, they're going to bring up something I may have said 2, 3, or 4 years ago and say, well, Floyd Bayne's on your staff, and Floyd Bayne said this, and what do you think about that? And shouldn't he have, do you want to distance yourself from that, or do you agree with him? And I just didn't want to put him in a position of having to do that and constantly be beaten up with stuff that I may have said that the Republican Party doesn't like. So ultimately that's why I decided not to publicly endorse him. He knew, and the people working for him knew, that I was behind him, and I made it clear on my Facebook and blog that I was behind him as well. Now, ultimately, people might say, well, you would have been behind anybody who wasn't Eric Cantor, and that may be true. But the fact is, I liked David Brat, and that's why I chose to support him. So it wasn't just a matter of getting rid of Cantor, it was a matter of replacing Cantor with someone I felt good about, someone I feel like I can trust.